On a bright sunny day, Mansu and his family are having a wonderful lunch thanks to the expensive meat sent by the papermaking company he works for as a reward for being a great employee for 25 years. Mansu's neurodivergent daughter Rione plays the cello while his wife Mi opens the very expensive gift he bought her. Mansu is so happy with his life that he brings the family into a tight hug. The next day at the factory, Mansu learns that the company has been bought by Americans, who will cut 20% of the production line and want a list of names to fire. Mansu approaches the new owner to try to convince him not to fire anyone, but the man ignores him. A co-worker asks Mansu if he was sent expensive food, revealing that only the fired employees receive that gift as a passive-aggressive goodbye. That means Mansu is unemployed now. Without telling his family yet, Mansu decides to join a support group for unemployed people. The host puts everyone through a ritual in which they touch their faces while repeating that losing their jobs isn't their fault and that their families will support them. This gives Mansu enough strength to call Mi and tell her what happened, but he promises he'll be employed again in just 3 months. 13 months later, Mansu is working in retail with a very small salary and bad hours. He also has a very annoying toothache, but he refuses to spend money on the dentist. One day, a friend gets him an interview at an important company, so Mansu asks his manager if he can leave earlier. This gets him fired, and since he has to give back his uniform, he ends up on the street in his underwear. Mansu's friend warns him that during the interview, the company always asks people what their weak point is, which is a very sensitive issue. He calls Mi for ideas on how to answer, but she only says that he loves plants too much. When Mi checks the mail, she discovers they're behind on the mortgage payments. That night, Mi announces that she got a job at a dental clinic. She's also made a list of all the extra activities that the family will have to stop doing until Mansu gets a job, although Rione is allowed to keep her cello classes. She wants to trade their cars for smaller, cheaper models and sell the house so they can pay for their loans and rent an apartment. Mansu hates the idea and reminds her that this is his childhood home, which he worked very hard on to repair. However, Rione points out that Mansu's severance money has run dry and shows him a letter from the bank, which says they'll lose the house in 3 months if they don't pay. In the morning, Mi's parents take the family dogs and Mi tells the kids they'll get them back when Mansu finds a job. Afterward, a potential buyer named One No arrives to check out the house and Mansu is extremely uncomfortable, so he leaves. Outside he finds his son Sion hanging out with his best friend Jian Ho, who happens to be One No's son. Rione is crying over the dogs and Mansu promises her that they won't abandon the house. After another failed interview, Mansu ends up begging on his knees and sharing his situation in tears while blocking the bathroom door to keep the boss listening to him. Manager Sion Chol pushes Mansu so his boss can leave, then he tells him to have more dignity and gives him some money for a drink. At the bar, Mansu drinks whiskey while watching Sion Chol's videos, learning that he's a very successful influencer. At that moment he gets a video call from Mi, who scolds him for being at the bar and informs him that Rione's cello teacher wants to talk to them.
While buying the plant from the lady, Mansu realizes that even if Sion Chol disappears, he can't be sure he'll get the job because there will be lots of competition. In the afternoon, Mansu returns home with a toy gun and a burner phone because he has a plan. He starts by calling a papermaking magazine to put up an ad. The next day, Balm Mo is irritating his wife A-Ra. Since he lost his job, he's been spending all his time drinking and avoiding the shower. After A-Ra leaves for an audition, Balm Mo reads the papermaking magazine and finds Mansu's fake job ad, which asks for people with advanced knowledge in the industry. This inspires Balm Mo to finally leave the couch and take a shower before writing an application letter detailing all his experience. Soon Mansu receives hundreds of resumes asking for the fake job. He reads them all and compares them to his own until there are only 2 men left who could beat him at a job interview, Balm Mo and Shijo. After burning all the other letters, Mansu takes his father's Vietnam War gun from the memorial and replaces it with the toy gun. The next day, Mansu starts spying on Balm Mo. He finds a nice spot among the trees and watches the house with his binoculars. Unfortunately, he discovers that the house has a security camera. Suddenly A-Ra's young lover sneaks out through the window and Balm Mo studies how the guy avoids the camera. When the young man starts walking toward the woods, Mansu panics and runs back to his car. The following day, Mansu returns to the same spot and Balm Mo almost sees him while he's looking for mushrooms. Mansu hides just in time and pulls out his gun, but he's too nervous to shoot. At that moment A-Ra joins her husband and they have a picnic. Balm Mo ignores his wife's chatter and keeps checking his phone, waiting for a message from the fake paper company. This causes A-Ra to snap, scolding her husband for not taking the cafe job her father offered him because he only wants to work with paper. Balm Mo reminds her that his industry kept her fed for years and wonders if a paper industry would send physical mail, so he runs back to the house to check the mailbox while A-Ra keeps throwing food at him. Suddenly Mansu rolls down the hill and is seen by A-Ra. He's been bitten by a snake, so when A-Ra notices the wound, she wraps his tie around his leg and asks him to keep it raised. Then she heats a knife with a lighter and cuts the wound before she starts sucking out the poison. Mansu is weirded out and tries to push her off, but A-Ra insists she did this on a play once and keeps sucking. At that moment Mansu gets a call from Mi, so he tells her that he'll call her later. When A-Ra is done, she gives him a stick to keep the snakes at bay. That night, Mansu searches for information about the snake on the internet and discovers that A-Ra gave him the opposite instructions. Doctors recommend leaving the leg down and not cutting or sucking the wound. Afterward he and Mi start dancing while talking about the old days. However, Mi interrupts their fun to discuss Sion. It turns out he's Mi's son from a previous boyfriend, but Mansu married Mi when the boy was 2, so he always thought that Mansu was his real dad. Mi wonders if they should tell him the truth, but Mansu refuses because he's raised the kid so he's pretty much his real father anyway. Then Mansu claims he's been out of the house a lot to go to job interviews, and Mi says he should accept a job that isn't related to the paper industry. Like Balm Mo, Monsu reminds her what the paper industry has done for them and how important it is to keep it alive in the digital era. The next day, Monsu sneaks inside the house by avoiding the camera like the young man did. He quickly goes upstairs and hears Ra getting busy with her lover, but Balm Mo isn't around so he has to leave. While driving down the road, Monsu sees Balm Mo going home, so he immediately turns the car around to follow him. Outside the house, Monsu uses the burner phone to call Balm Mo and tells him they want to interview him, but he must go to the office right now because the company owner has to leave on an important business trip. Balm Mo agrees, but still goes inside to change into nicer clothes. This causes him to discover his wife's affair, so he quickly comes out again and has a breakdown on the ground. Then Balm Mo tries to call the company to reschedule the interview, but Monsu has been watching him and doesn't answer the phone. A depressed Balm Mo leaves to have a drink with a friend. Afterward, Monsu picks up Miri, who finds the fast food bag on the passenger's seat and disapproves of her husband's spending. Miri's boss Jin Ho has heard that he has a toothache, so he tells him he can come by any time to take care of it. Since Jin Ho is young and charming, Monsu gets jealous and irritated, so he drives off very clumsily and tells Miri to never mention him to her boss again. Later, Monsu returns to Balm Mo's home with a gun hidden inside a kitchen mitten. He finds the guy listening to sad music, and when he points his hand at him, Balm Mo assumes he's Ra's lover. While Monsu takes off several gloves to reveal the gun, Ra comes home and sees him, so she grabs Balm Mo's company award and gets ready to hit him. However, she freezes when she hears Balm Mo say that she only loves him. Monsu snaps and starts yelling at Balm Mo for not paying more attention to his wife and ignoring her idea of accepting a different job. In tears, Balm Mo says he's an engineer who deserves a better position than retail and that he can't move boxes because his back hurts. Ra finds the excuse stupid and tries to join the argument, which startles Monsu, causing him to accidentally shoot Balm Mo in the shoulder. Then Ra strikes Monsu with the award, causing him to drop the gun. The three of them fall and start fighting for the weapon. While Ra tries to choke Monsu, Balm Mo grabs the gun and points it at them, but Monsu kicks Ra to knock down her husband. The gun falls again and the fight continues until Ra manages to grab it. Another accidental bullet is shot and Monsu immediately runs away in panic. Balm Mo chases after Monsu, but as soon as he steps outside, Ra shoots him. After Balm Mo dies, Ra goes after Monsu while firing random shots without aim. Monsu manages to get in the car and drive away. Noticing that he almost has no fuel, Monsu stops at the gas station. He has 10 missed calls from Miri, so he tries calling her back, but she won't answer. Monsu then calls his kids, who don't know where their mother is, but they heard her say your father is going to pay for this. This makes Monsu realize that he forgot about a costume party they were supposed to attend. Meanwhile, Miri has gone to the party with Jin Ho, who has even learned her favorite dance for her. When Monsu finally arrives, he's devastated to watch his wife dance with another man. He awkwardly dances toward them and Miri sees him, but she ignores him until he leaves. Afterward, Monsu returns to Balm Mo's house. While Ra is busy with her lover, Monsu buries the body and takes back the gun. Later that night, Miri comes home to discover that Monsu has gone through her drawers to check what underwear she wore, and he accuses her of sleeping with Jin Ho. He tackles her to try to smell her panties, so Miri kicks him off. She realizes he's been drinking and scolds him, revealing he used to be an addict and had been clean for 9 years. During his drunk days, Monsu beats Sion. Miri throws her panties at Monsu's face and yells at her for not trusting her. Monsu tries to say they need to stick together while they go through these hard times, but Miri points out that he's been very secretive lately and she's noticed all the miles he's driven in the new car. She accuses him of cheating on her, but Monsu sticks to his job interview story and walks away, accidentally hitting his face on his way out. The next day, Monsu starts stalking Shijo, who is working at a shoe store to provide for his daughter until he can find a better job. When the daughter visits the store to ask Shijo for money, a client gets tired of waiting and leaves without buying anything. Shijo clearly works very hard and Monsu feels bad about his plan. When Shijo sees him and thinks he's a customer, Monsu feels so guilty that he says he needs shoes for her daughter. The men end up talking about their love for paper, the feeling of being unemployed, and the hardships of raising a difficult daughter. Monsu tells him that he wants Rione to try the shoes before buying them and promises to come back later. In the evening, Monsu is waiting by the road while pretending that his car broke down. When Shijo drives by, he stops to help. Monsu tells him he didn't go back for the shoes because towing the car will be expensive and he doesn't have much money. All this is part of his plan since he read on Shijo's resume that he has some experience as a machine repairman. While Shijo checks the engine, Monsu pulls out his gun and points it at him while covering the man's face to feel less guilty. Shijo pushes him and tries to run away, but Monsu quickly shoots him to kill him. After hiding the body in his trunk, Monsu takes the ashcam from Shijo's car and leaves, unaware that he left the bullet case on the ground. As it starts raining in town, Sion sneaks out of the house and meets with Jian Ho, who knows the lock password to his father's store. The boys break in and steal some phones, planning to resell them to earn some cash. Unfortunately, the police chase after them when they escape on their bicycles, so the guys split as a distraction. The police car ends up going after Jian Ho, so Sion goes home safely. When Monsu arrives, he sees Sion's bicycle covered in mud. He just moves it and starts digging a hole, but he's too tired and ends up falling asleep without burying the body. The next morning, the police arrive and arrest Sion. Monsu notices that Shijo's clothes are peeking out of the trunk, so he hurries to stand next to the car to cover it. Now the family has to drive to the police station with the body still in the trunk. At the station, Monsu advises Sion to claim that Jian Ho pushed him into committing the crime and gives him a speech about protecting the family. He ignores Sion when the boy tries to say he was the one who came up with the robbery idea. In the meantime, Miri goes to the bathroom to take off her bra. Then she talks to Won-no to try to convince him not to press charges, keeping him distracted thanks to her chest sticking out in her sweater. Soon Monsu also joins the conversation and Mi-ri is disappointed to see he's smoking again. Monsu talked to the cops, so he reveals that Ji-ho only turned off half of the security cameras and there's footage of Won-no taking lovers to the store. If the charges aren't dropped, his wife will find out about the affairs. Won-no's father is furious and almost hits Monsu, but Mi-ri stops him. Monsu tells Won-no that he won't sell the house to him and the couple leaves. Monsu pretends he never saw them before, but the detectives notice that Monsu talks about them as if they were dead when they only mentioned a disappearance. The detectives have also found the bullet case and mention that it comes from North Korea, which is overheard by Mi-ri. A few nights later, Mi-ri notices that Sion is acting strangely and intimidates him until he shares what he saw. Mi-ri then checks the memorial and finds the toy gun. She desperately rushes to the garden and digs out the tree to find the body. Meanwhile, Seon-chul is happily driving down the road when suddenly someone appears in front of his car. He stops the vehicle just in time and discovers it's Monsu, who tells him that he's been watching his videos and become a fan. Monsu shows him a bottle and invites him to have a drink, so they go to Seon-chul's house. Then Monsu keeps filling Seon-chul's glass to get him drunk while he only pretends to drink and empties his own glass under the table. When Seon-chul starts complaining about his job, he admits that his workload is too much and wishes he could have another manager. Monsu gets excited and convinces him to talk to his bosses so they'll hire him, promising that they'll make a great team. The men keep on chatting and Monsu comments on Seon-chul's fancy house, jokingly saying that Seon-chul must be pocketing company money.
Monsu uses the chance to knock Seon-chul out and buries him in the backyard, leaving the head peeking out. At that moment he gets a video call from Mi-ri, but he only turns on the audio and claims to be in a meeting for a potential job. Mi-ri tells him that if he needs to do something bad, she'll do it with him. Suddenly Seon-chul wakes up, so Monsu tells his wife not to worry before hanging up. Then Monsu inserts a funnel into Seon-chul's mouth and starts pushing smashed hot dogs through it. He pours alcohol into the funnel too, then he wraps plastic wrap around Seon-chul's head to asphyxiate him. After a few minutes, Monsu removes the body and fills up the hole, making sure to spread some leaves to cover the spot. Then he cleans the house and puts the body on a chair, leaving a glass and a bottle nearby to make it look like Seon-chul accidentally choked on his drink. At home, Seon is having trippy nightmares about his father doing strange things in the greenhouse. Mi-ri wakes him up and tells him that Monsu cut up a pig to fertilize the garden, so there's nothing to worry about. In the morning, Monsu gets home and tells Mi-ri that the interview went well. He shows her that he finally lost his tooth and tries to hug her, but she pulls away. Monsu hugs her anyway and asks her for just 1 minute, so she starts a countdown. However, she ends up giving up and hugs him back, crying because it's finally over. A few days later, Monsu has a very successful interview for Seon-chul's position and learns that the company is firing the rest of the employees to replace them with machines. Meanwhile, Mi-ri gets the dogs back and pays for the house. The next time the detectives visit, they tell Monsu he isn't a suspect anymore. It turns out A-ra acted very well as the grieving widow, so she made the cops believe that Bal-mo owned an illegal gun and that he always talked badly about Shijo because they competed in the business. She even chose the right gun from a series of pictures. Now the police believe that Bal-mo killed Shijo and ran away with the gun. On his first day of work, Monsu enters an empty factory, so he celebrates his success and listens to music while keeping an eye on the machines. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.